Well, welcome to the Botanical Medicine Study course with me, your host and instructor, Stephanie Georgiev. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me, and welcome to all new subscribers, and a big shout out and hello and thank you and welcome to long-term subscribers. And also a big hi to those of you who are coasting through to this channel for the first time. You are also very welcome and appreciated. Now, make sure to check out the links in the program notes for all things interesting relating to this week's Herb of the Week, or as the British say, Herb of the Week. Now, at the time of the posting of this video, we're gearing up for the last 2 weeks of the hectic leading up to the late December holidays. This year, at the time of the posting of this video in 2024, what's left of this amazing year, we will have both Christmas and Hanukkah on the same day. That's interesting. The beginning of Hanukkah will start on the same day as Christmas. So, in many of the homes that celebrate Christmas, there are decorations of this week's herb or herb of the week, which is also the title of a very famous Christmas carol, and that is the herb of holly. Now, in the program notes, I have a link from my sweet daddy's alma mater, Penn State University. He was a really great alum. He just loved his university, Penn State, and Penn State has a agricultural college, and they, through most universities and colleges in, at least in the United States, they have something called an extension service, which anything you want to know about plants is through that. So if you live near a college in whatever state you're living in the United States, check out to see if there's an extension, and you can learn all kinds of interesting things about plants. And they usually have all kinds of wonderful in-person classes or online. It's a wonderful resource that is not used enough. But anyways, from my dad's alma mater, Penn State, I will read a section of a wonderful entry on holly. And I'll read a section of this, and I really invite you to read the entire thing. It's a quick read, but it's really fun if you want to know a lot of the traditions and interesting things about holly. So here's the quote. It says, "In the British Isles and other parts of Europe, both pagan and Christian traditions have also employed holly. In one ancient ritual, a boy was donned with holly branches to represent the masculine forces of nature, while the girl was decked in ivy to represent the feminine. Together, they were paraded through their village to welcome the winter solstice. Ironically, holly is dioecious with separate male and female plants necessary for reproduction. The berry-like fruits only appear on the female plants, whose most these plants are most enlisted for ornamentation. A traditional British Christmas carol traced to the 15th century, The Holly and the Ivy, weaves the tale of Jesus's birth, recasting this pagan custom into a Christian version. In another Christian myth, a holly bush sprouted leaves with thorns to hide and protect the baby Jesus from King Herod's men. As goes the myth, Jesus reciprocated the deed by making holly an evergreen. Now, holly is quite a transcontinental plant. And I'm sure none of you, I think if you do know this, you're amazing. I did not know that Ilex aquifolium was the Latin term for the European holly. And the word ilex from the Latin binomial is not a horned uh, animal. It's a ilex means holly. And then the second name of whatever form you see is where it is from. Now, ilex is a genus of over 570 species of flowering plants in the family of Aquifoliaceae and is the only genus of that family. So this is quite amazing. The Aquifoliaceae has 400 species of primitive astrid flowering plants. And all of these species belong to the genus Ilex. And again, that is commonly known as the hollies. And Ilex is the most species of any woody dioecious angiosperm genus. And these are evergreen and deciduous. They're shrubs and climbers from the tropic to the temperate zones worldwide. Now, the Ilex aquifolium is called the common European holly, and this is the one that is most used in Christmas decorations and reproduced on cards. And I lost these, but we used to have a whole set of plates that were just hollies, and they're kind of like brunch plates, and we had little cups that were made out of nothing but ceramic holly, and I just miss those things so much. And who can look at holly and not think of Christmas? I'm sorry, it's impossible. Now, there are so many, obviously, of these hollies, but we're only going to explore two of them. The European holly, Ilex aquifolium, the one you see before you, and the American holly, and this name is rather amusing to me, Ilex vomitoria. But it's commonly known by its Native American term of Youpon. Now, I find this Latin binomial of the American holly very amusing and also a curiosity, like what the heck does vomitoria stand for? Does this mean it makes you vomit? Well, here's a bit of Latin trivia for you lay linguistic people. The Latin word vomitorium, which the plural vomitoria derives from the verb vomo or vomir, and this means to spew forth. A vomitorium is a passage situated below or behind a tier of seats in an amphitheater or a stadium through which large crowds can exit rapidly at the end of an event. Now, I'll leave it up to you why large group of people need to leave quickly and spew forth. Vomitoria can also be pathways for actors to enter and leave stages. Again, I will leave it up to those with great understanding of Roman behavior, verbs, and actors as to why this is the title for where actives enter and leave stages. But more on this plant later in the video. But hint, hint, it really does not have anything to do with spewing forth or large crowds. Now, with the European variety, and full disclosure, I have not used this botanically. I've never used this. I'm not aware of any supplements on the market. We were never taught this in naturopathic school or acupuncture school, nothing like this. Okay. But it is used in flower essences, which we will explore. But the European variety, the Ilex aquifolium, the berries are known to be toxic to humans. So please do not eat the berries. Do not. Apparently, birds can do that and they're just fine, but birds, have a different digestive system than we do. But the leaves and the bark have been used throughout the centuries for various things. Now, the leaves are a diaphoretic, which means it makes you sweat. And anything that's a diaphoretic can help lower fevers. Okay. And anticatarrhal, which means it helps stop coughing. And anti-inflammatory, which means it can be used for joint pain like rheumatoid arthritis, etc. Now, the fermented bark uh, in tradition was made into a paste. They would go through, it was quite a procedure, actually. I can see why this fell out of use. You had to strip the bark in a certain time of year and soak it and let it ferment, and then it would separate into layers, and then you would ferment that again, and then you would make this into a paste. And that was used to help set bones. And this is according to 17th century apothecary Thomas Culpeper, author of the famous English herbal. Again, I have no personal or clinical experience with this. Um, and just please do not eat the berries, please. Now, the holly that I do have experience with is flower essence. And unfortunately, personally, as well as clinically, I use a lot of this because holly is used for anger. Now, I've given you a link in the program notes to the Bach Flower Essence Center, and according to them, holly is for people who are bad-tempered, hard-hearted, cruel, and on occasions violent. And inside they are suffering, often for no good cause. Uh, I think this applies to quite a few people in North America, especially in the last election. So maybe we could just sprinkle this all over everybody. And I used it personally for all kinds, for anger of all kinds. And as we know, there's a big correlation between emotions and physical health. So I always included a Bach flower remedy when creating a program for someone, because you really need to get at the root of the problem in order to heal the person. And there's always an underlying emotional issue. And holly is for people who are having trouble with anger, unresolved anger, and is very useful. Now, remember, this essence just needs to touch you. So it can touch the skin or just under your tongue. You can put it in a couple drops in a glass of water, drink it down. And usually these remedies are given orally, and sometimes you can use them topically. And what I used to do with my toddler patients who were challenging their parents to their limits, if you put the remedies, a couple drop of the remedies in a little spray bottle with spring or distilled water, and you mist your children, particularly in the midst of a temper tantrum, the children initially will become absolutely enraged that they're being squirted, but they instantly calm down and often fall asleep. And I think this would be a really great remedy during this time of excess sugar intake and unrealized desires for the Christmas holidays. There's a lot of temper tantrums during this time of year, and this is a wonderful option, even if the child absolutely refuses to open their mouth and let you put a drop in there. You can always mist them with a squirt bottle. There you go. So now on to the American holly. And again, full disclosure, I do not have personal or clinical experience with this, but I found it really, really interesting. And I also just love this word, Ilex vomitoria. I have no idea why that was the Latin binomial. Maybe because the berries make you barf. I don't know. But anyways, it's called Youpon, and it's also known as American holly. It's very rich in antioxidants. It's very high in caffeine, And the leaves are the big source for all of these. I wasn't reading anything about the berries. If anybody knows anything about that, please share. But it's mostly the leaves, and they're very rich in antioxidants. So anything that antioxidants are good for, this is a good remedy for that. And there are a lot of online sources. This is very prominent in the southeastern North America, so really along the south. Um, and it's mostly the herbal tea, as I said, made from the leaves. And traditionally, Native Americans brewed this into a medicinal tea and produced it as they called it a black drink, which was consumed during purification rituals. Now, it's very high in caffeine, and which means anything that caffeine helps you with, this plant will definitely do that. And that basically means it helps the brain to focus, it increases alertness. So anything that does that. Now, a caution for those sensitive to caffeine, and I'm one of those people. Um, if caffeine aggravates you or you're very sensitive to caffeine, like I can't do chocolate in the evening if I want to sleep. I've never done coffee, just can't handle it. I have heart palpitations and it's just doesn't work with me. So if you're sensitive to caffeine, this is not for you. But if you're helped by caffeine, this is really great for helping you to focus and be alert. Now, growing holly is a wonderful experience. I just think it's an absolutely gorgeous plant. And I have links in the program notes on how to grow both the European holly and the North American holly. And they're good sources for all of that. I, again, have no experience with this. I've always just bought sprigs of it, to decorate things. But I think it's an absolutely gorgeous plant. And it's a very nice bush. I've been in gardens where they have lots of holly, and it also grows in pots. So you can enjoy this incredible plant. So, however you want to incorporate this really beautiful, I just think festive, uh, very festive looking plant, I hope you can come to appreciate all the wonderful folklore and traditions and just visual beauty, as well as the healing aspects of this wonderful ilex species. So this is Stephanie Georgia saying thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. I hope in these last weeks leading up to these late December holidays that you can take time to really immerse yourself in nature and appreciate all that nature has to offer us. Make sure to check out the links in the program notes. Wonderful and interesting and useful. And until next time, be well.